What do you think is beating that heart of yours? Where's that energy inside your body coming from? Think about that. Honoring self is honoring God, because God created you and God creates only perfection. Now, in our humanness, we might be able to say, well, that's BS. There's no way I'm perfect. Well, yes, in the human terms, maybe not, but that's not who you are. You are a spirit having a human experience. And that human experience is meant to make quote unquote mistakes, is meant to err, is meant to do all the things that you criticize it. Why? So you can learn. How else are you going to learn? If we all came in like robots, all knowing everything, all knowing the same thing, it would be so boring. It would be really boring. Can you imagine? Everybody like your mother or your sister or even you, everybody, and everybody doing everything perfectly all the time, or what you think is perfect. Because think about that, as a human, the idea of perfection is kind of interesting. Everybody's idea of perfection is different. So there is no perfection. There's absolutely no perfection. And in fact, that is one of the hardest things to overcome as a human, is to let yourself off the hook. Because the only way you can be truly free is to be willing to learn, is to be willing to try things, to slip into that unknown space where it's uncomfortable so you can learn something differently. And as you learn that, just like riding a bike, you might fall off a couple of times, but that's the only way to riding it. Wasn't it worth it once you started riding that bicycle? Wasn't it worth all the falls? But did you tell yourself, I'm going to get on that bike and I'm going to ride it I'm going to ride it correctly the first time? No, you probably brought a lot of fears in with you, because the truth is not that you are less, that you're not more, you're not enough. That is not the truth of who you are. That's impossible if you really think about it. The issue is we don't question our thoughts enough, because we're not in stillness enough. What is compassionate communication? It's actually listening to yourself. If you have compassionate communication with another person, that means somebody has to listen and somebody has to talk. If there's no one listening, there's no communication. It takes two to communicate. So who's listening when you're communicating inside of that mind of yours? When you listen with compassion, you listen with a desire to understand. You may not agree with that person. You may feel differently. We have control over our minds, or our minds have control over us. What's your choice? What's it going to be? And the only way that you can make that choice is to slow things down enough and start to listen to yourself with heart and compassion. You didn't get there by yourself. You didn't adopt all that negativity because that's who you were.